And welcome back to Calhoun County's Most Wanted. I'm John Garlick, filling in for Chris Wright, who's out of the country enjoying himself in my home ancestral land of Scotland. And with us today, of course, is our sheriff, the sheriff, Matthew Wade. Good to
Always good to be on the show. I was supposed to say Chris, but it's John.
Yeah.
You look, I don't know who looks better yet, but you both are sporting glorious beards.
Yes, so, it's that time of the year that you've graciously allowed us to raise money.
Raise money for the Baptist Children's Home. We do 2 charities a year, which you know, but we support the UCP Center, and we also support the Children's Center, raising money twice a year. And this Christmas, when you get your turkey fried at the sheriff's office or you see a deputy wearing a beard, just know they're both raising money to buy kids Christmas presents that wouldn't have them otherwise for the Alabama Baptist Children's Home. So it's just 2 of our charities that we do.
A lot of good things going on at the sheriff's office. A lot of good things going on at Calhoun County's Most Wanted. Our citizens of Calhoun County have helped us again this week.
5 arrests brings the count up to, oh, that count is not right. It brings the count up to 4,043 people all put in jail, all because somebody got involved. I say that every week, but we can't do this alone. Law enforcement isn't designed to work separate from its citizens, and we try our best to make sure that we're part of our community so we can work together, and so far that is working well with this TV show, so thank you.
Lots of good things going on in the community too this week, something to be alert to, right?
Well, be alert this week is Dega. It's Talladega week. People come to Dega to watch the 500,
Get her done.
Get her done. But this week is race week, and deputies will be working down there as well. But it also will affect your traffic around Oxford and some other portions of the county. So just be aware that on Saturday and Sunday, if you're planning on traveling around I-20 or Highway 77, Mud Street, you could see some delays, and especially in Oxford, if you want to shop in the Walmarts or anything like that, it could be an issue. So just pay attention to that.
Stay alert for the weekend, and stay alert for the rest of our show. We have some guests coming up that are going to talk about some really good things. But first, the first half of our lineup. So stay with us on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. And welcome to this week's edition of Calhoun County's Most Wanted. First up on our lineup this week, Remington Johnson. Mr. Johnson, last known to be living in Birmingham. He's wanted for murder. We've been looking for him for quite some time. We need some information. If you've got it, please give us a call. There is a substantial reward for bringing this guy home. Take a look at Jonathan Martin. Mr. Martin, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted for failure to appear on possession of marijuana second, use and possession of drug paraphernalia. And this is Christopher Kelly. Mr. Kelly, last known to be living in Piedmont. He's wanted for failure to appear for theft of property second. We'd like you to meet Jesse Trawick. Mr. Trawick, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted for a probation violation on receiving stolen property first. And meet Christina Massa. Ms. Massa, last known to be living in Ohatchee. She's wanted for failure to appear on criminal trespass third. And last up for the first half of our lineup, Jennifer Kelly. Ms. Kelly, last known to be living in Anniston. She's wanted for failure to pay on burglary third. And that's it for the first half of the lineup. Stay tuned for the second half later in the show. Welcome back. We hope you saw somebody in that lineup. Perhaps, if you know where they are, please give us a call. If not, we got another lineup coming up later in the show for you. Right now, we're going to talk with Kathleen Saucier. Oh, Saucier. Saucier is the French word. From Bradford Health Services. And we're here to talk about... So, Sheriff, we have an opiate crisis in this country, don't we?
We do, and a lot of good people have addiction, and I don't think any one of them woke up and said, I want to take this path down life. None of them woke up and said, hey, I want to do something that's going to chain me to pills, chain me to heroin, make me steal from my family, do things that hurt my family. If I had the root cause or the reason or how to fix it, I would, but I don't think anybody has that magic solution. But we're seeing more and more overdose deaths. Had one yesterday, somebody that I'm friends with, their sister died, and it's just tragic, and you wish you could save those people.
Right, and we can't necessarily wave a magic wand and stop them from going down that path, but once they're on that path, Bradford has a way to get them perhaps on a different path.
Yes, so thanks first for letting me be here today and talk a little bit about some of the programs that we at Bradford have. So Bradford Health Services has multifaceted programs. We have detox programs, inpatient programs. We also have here in Oxford the intensive outpatient program for adults, and we're in the process of putting together one for adolescents. And so basically what we do is exactly from the same, standpoint that you have, is that no one wakes up and says, this is what I want to be when I grow up. Life circumstances, things happen, and addiction is a disease. And to treat the disease, it takes a huge approach. And it's not just one program, it's not just one aspect. And so one of the things that we realized was not only would we be able to provide that detox program or that inpatient program and transition to intensive outpatient programs, but also having something that they could continue to be able to be a part of. And so we started a 12-step meeting there. And that 12-step meeting is open to the community as well as families. It's an open meeting. It's what in AA or in 12-step programs they call an open meeting, so anyone can attend. You don't have to be in recovery. You don't have to be someone with the disease of addiction. You could be a family member, a concerned family member that's interested in finding out more about addiction and how you can help and support.
And it's not necessarily, if you are addicted to something, it's not anything in particular. They could be alcoholics or they
Right.
could be in narcotics. So it's a blended meeting.
They don't ask you when you come what your
Right.
problem is, or if you have a problem, they just say you're welcome to be there.
Right,
course.
right. And we're all there for the same reason, is to basically help understand more about this addiction. And as you said, it doesn't matter whether it's alcohol or drugs or anything else. It's important to find out what are the steps to take to get through that and through the recovery process, not just as the person dealing with the addiction themselves, but as a family member or a concerned person in their life, even an employer that would be interested in finding out more. How can I support my employee that's struggling with this addiction instead of just getting rid of them? That's really important. We also, and there's no cost. It's a 12-step meeting. It's open and free to the community. We also have on Monday evenings, specifically just for family members or concerned people, a meeting at Bradford Health here in Oxford called the Concerned Family Member from 5:30 to 6:30, and that's open to anyone as well in the community that wants to learn more about how do I help my person, with this addiction.
So where is the meeting for the 12-step meeting that's open? Where is that? When and where is that?
Sure, it's Thursday nights from 7 to 8, and it's at the Oxford office for Bradford, which is 1713 Hamrick Drive East, right here on 78. And so we're almost directly across from the thrift store, the big thrift store, and it says Bradford Health Services out front.
Exactly what we talked about.
Yep, and it's from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And we have coffee.
Well, there's a good reason to go.
There you
Yes,
go, lots
yes.
of coffee.
Yes,
And support, family support and friend support is so important to recovery, isn't it?
absolutely. One of the things that gets people through any sort of crisis in life is family, faith, and friends. And so we talk a lot about that. The 12-step process, which is Bradford's programs are based on the 12-step process, is acknowledging that your problem, your addiction, has become unmanageable and your life has become unmanageable, and that you need support from a higher power as well as others around you. And so that's the basis of our programs.
Okay, so really quickly before we go to break, can you kind of just run through the 12 steps?
Well, I can tell you I probably can't go through them all at once and hammer them out because it's a huge banner that we have in our
Sure.
in our group room. But the number one is to accept that your life has become unmanageable and that you need that extra support, as well as accept that you've done things in your life. As you mentioned earlier, there's so many people that have committed crimes here in your county, and many of those crimes are a result of an addiction. Are a result of, trying to survive in that disease of addiction. And again, do they wake up wanting to be criminals? Do they wake up wanting to be addicts? No. The circumstances are beyond their control and they need that support. So we go through those 12 steps. There's aspects in those 12 steps where people will recognize and acknowledge. Basically, I call it cleaning out your refrigerator, doing a personal inventory, looking for those things down there that aren't so good, and how can you take a look at them, how can you accept them, and how can you move forward. We always say the serenity prayer, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I can't change. That's anything that happened before today. The courage to change the things I can and the wisdom to know the difference. And one of the things we acknowledge is that there might be things that you've done in your past that need to be faced. So you can't put them behind you. You have accepting responsibility, whether it's court cases, whether it's legal, any of those aspects.
So you have to put your past in perspective.
Absolutely.
So we'll talk more about how you put your life back together and maybe some of the things that you see are causing people to go down that wrong path in just a minute. Right now, we're going to take a break, and we're going to see the second half of this week's lineup. And we'll see you back here in just a minute on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. And welcome to the second half of our lineup. First up this half, Jonathan Ledbetter. Mr. Ledbetter, last known to be living in Oxford. He's wanted for bond revocation on possession of a controlled substance. And meet Carissa Tussey. Miss Tussey, last known to be living in Ohatchee. She's wanted for failure to appear on use and possession of drug paraphernalia. And this is Patrick Higginbotham. Mr. Higginbotham, last known to be living in Ohatchee, he's wanted for failure to appear on criminal trespass third. And meet Matthew Davis. Mr. Davis, last known to be living in Anniston, he's wanted for failure to appear on criminal trespass third, possession of marijuana second, use and possession of drug paraphernalia. And last up in our lineup this week, oh, never mind, he's not last up, he's second to last. This is Jeffrey Hollins. Mr. Hollins, last known to be living in Anniston, he's wanted for failure to pay on possession of marijuana first. And now, last up for our lineup this week, Victoria Harrell. Miss Harrell, last known to be living in Anniston, she's wanted for failure to appear on possession of a forged instrument second and theft of property second. And that's it for our lineup this week. If you have any information on the whereabouts of these folks, please give us a call at Crime Stoppers. That number 256-238-1414. Welcome back. We hope you might have seen somebody in that half of the lineup that you might know, and if you do, please you call Will Hall. We're talking with Kathleen Saucier from Bradford Health Services about their new 12-step program and addiction. And we want to make sure, before we get too far into this segment, that we get out there the crisis hotline, if you will. You have that. Tell us about that.
Sure. So the hotline is 256-365-2965, and I believe it's going to get put up there. But that number is a 24/7 number of Bradford Health Services, and our people are available to talk about, what's going on in your life, your family member's life, how to get you that support that you might need, what are those steps to get that support. They'll talk about, it's a free consultation, so there's no cost in that initial. Many people need to go to a detox program. Many people need to go into an inpatient program. Many people need to be in a hospital to detox, just depending on what's going on. And many people can just come right into what we call the intensive outpatient program, which is a 4-night-a-week, 3 hours each night program where it's, a lot of information in a short period of time, where people learn more about themselves. One of the things we were just talking briefly about at break is that, what is it that leads to addiction? What is it that leads to the struggling and recovery? And there's no one thing that leads to it. Mm-hmm. There's many things that lead to it. So you can have a person that could use for the first time and become addicted. You could have a person that could use many times and then develop an addiction. And so it doesn't appear to be really any rhyme or reason. There's different things that do feed into that, whether it's genetics, whether it's life circumstances. But again, there's so many different aspects to it. And that's why the treatment isn't just, okay, you're going to go do this, and then you're going to do this, and then you're going to do this. It's individualized by each person, depending on what their experiences are, both genetically as well as environmentally. So those are really key points when you're looking at addiction. The other part I want to mention is, leading in, you said the new 12 steps. So Bradford's been around for a long time. I think everyone in the community knows about Bradford in Alabama, and they're a company that's been around for quite some time. The piece that's new here in Oxford is that we started, or requested, that the community start this 12-step meeting. So Bradford Health Services themselves, I don't run this group. I sit in it as a person that's joining the meeting to understand more for myself, to learn as I go from each person. But the meeting was set up by members that actually came through our Bradford program, and that are very involved in AA and NA in the community. And one of the things that we realized is that when people were coming through our intensive outpatient program, you know, they're only there for a short time. So I always say to them, the day you show up here is the day I'm planning for you to go, and making sure you have resources to stay healthy in your recovery and to not relapse. And one of those greatest resources that's been found, research proven, is people getting engaged and involved in 12-step meetings, whether it's AA, NA, 12 steps, Celebrate Recovery, any of those meetings within their community, because they develop new healthy relationships with people that are like-minded. They're in recovery.
Right. That's the biggest problem that we see in the incarceration world, in the jail world, when people start the rehab and they recover, or they're recovering. As soon as they get released from jail or the rehab program, what happens to them?
They go right back.
They
You
go
know, they
right
can
back.
be separated from it for 2 years. Cigarettes are the same way. They can be separated from cigarettes for 2 years, get out of jail. They broke the physical addiction, and then they walk by a guy and they say, hey, I bought bum a cigarette. You know, it's like, but hey, you haven't smoked in 2 years. Like, but I want one really bad. It's the mental aspect of it that you need that long-term support for.
And the community, you know, they go right back into the same friends and family and neighborhood. So these programs with like-minded people on the road to recovery is so vital to their staying healthy, right?
Absolutely. We talk about people, places, and things almost every meeting. What are your people, places, and things? What are the people that maybe triggered you to use or you've used within the past? Where are the places that you used in the past? And what are the things? You know, what were you doing when that was happening? And what happens when you are in the throes of addiction is everything revolves around that addiction. So your people, places, and things. Does that mean you have to get rid of all those people, especially if they're loved ones? You know, no, but how can you learn to develop healthy relationships so that when you are in those situations, maybe with loved ones or in a work environment, that you can make different choices? And it's about finding healthy choices and ways that you can do that. And so you brought up a really good point. There's a huge part of addiction that isn't the physical aspect. You know, it's that psychological aspect. It's those people, places, and things that feed into that physical aspect with addiction.
And before we let you go, why don't we put out there the dates and times and phone number one more time?
Sure. So our 12-step meeting is every Thursday from 7 to 8 p.m. and it's at 1713 Hamrick Drive East, which is this 78 right here, across from the thrift store. And so that's Thursday evening from 7 to 8. We also have a concerned family member, significant other meeting every Monday evening at the same location from 5:30 to 6:30.
And they can just show up.
Yes.
Don't have to make an appointment.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Very good. Well, we really appreciate you coming down and telling us all about what's going on at Bradford, and hopefully we might have made some contacts
Yes.
for you and to help their lives. So thank you very much. Stay with us. We have our Crime Stoppers lineup coming up, and then our Crazy Criminal of the Week here on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. And welcome to the Crime Stoppers portion of our show, where we need your help for our investigators on these cases. First case, between September 24th and September 25th, various items were stolen from a mobile home park on Roy Webb Road in Jacksonville. Items include 3 window air conditioner units, a roll of aluminum power tools, a Gen X generator, an 8-foot ladder, and so much more. A suspicious red truck was seen in the area at the time. And on September 28th, the home on Holland Finley Road in Jacksonville was burglarized. They got away with a rifle, a taser, 2 TVs, and lots of jewelry. A light-colored small car was seen at the home. And also on September 28th, the home on Pattyway Drive in Alexandria was burglarized. They got away with a Samsung TV, a PlayStation 4, and a pit bull puppy. Sometime between September 27th and October 2nd, a small black utility trailer was taken from an office on Bruce Street in Hobson City. And on October 4th, a business located on Gladden Lane East in Alexandria was broken into, but nothing has been reported stolen at this time. And last up, on October 5th, this home was burglarized on Halls Chapel Road in Alexandria. Nothing was reported stolen at the time, but the investigation is still ongoing. If you know anything about these cases, please give us a call at Crime Stoppers. That number, 256-238-1414. Remember, we want your information and not your name.
So bad! Yeah!
Well, we hope you saw somebody you might know or have some clues on the cases we have on our Crime Stoppers portion. But right now, Sheriff, you know, Somerset, Massachusetts had a rash of burglaries, a rash of them, and the investigators got down digging into the case, and they developed a suspect. And they confronted that suspect, and they arrested her. And what do you think she said?
I didn't do it.
I didn't do it. She said, I didn't do it. But they had kind of a secret weapon that she should have known about. She was wearing a GPS anklet.
Well, you know, that always is a good tool, but if you're going to commit burglaries, you know, you might not should leave such evidence behind. But, you know, we had that happen here. In Calhoun County. We have solved some burglaries out in Ohatchee probably a year or two ago where the same thing happened. The house got burglarized. We developed a suspect, looked on his GPS monitoring, and saw him going to the house, then going back home. So they probably went to her house because they knew where she was. I wonder if they got all the property back or not.
Well, I don't know that, but they did. They could place her at the scene of each crime at the time that those crimes took place.
Well, you know, you could call that stupid. But, you know, people that are in jail aren't necessarily stupid. They just make bad choices. And if you're being monitored by GPS, it works. You might not want to test it out.
They just they forget that it's there.
I
like,
guess. I'm
you know,
not sure.
It's pretty interesting.
That's kind of funny, though.
Well, glad that it works. It works for us here in Calhoun County. It works for the sheriff.
It does.
And what also works is you, the citizens, getting out there and helping us find those people that are on our lineup. So we hope you do that. We really appreciate you watching the show and calling us every time you know where somebody is. And don't forget those cases. We need some help on those. But stay tuned. Next week, we'll have a brand new show for you, and we hope to see you again, but hopefully not in the lineup on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.